If you look at everything Satan has done throughout the course of human history, everything he's tempted people to do, it seems to be a perpetual escalation of disobediences, trying to get humanity to continuously either worship false gods, abandon God, commit all kinds of atrocities, anything he can possibly get us to do to disqualify ourselves, to prove to both God and heaven that God was wrong when he chose us. Because if your mindset is legalism, if the only way you understand the world is through law, and you have no understanding of love, then you would think that at some point in time you could cause an infraction great enough that God, because of his justice, would not be able to overlook it. That would be sort of the frame of reference that you would be operating from if you had no conception of love and you only understood everything through law. And being that Satan is persistently called the accuser of the brethren, and it seems like everything he does is just simply roaming around looking for people to accuse, this would suggest to me that that is precisely the mindset that Satan operates from. It's always a mindset of justice and law with no conception of mercy or no conception of love. This is where inciting the Romans to crucify Jesus comes in. I think Satan reasoned that if I can get humanity to kill the Son of God, that will be an infraction so great that there's no possible way God could forgive them for it. Ultimately proving the broadest point that he's been trying to prove, which is that we should be disqualified from our inheritance because we are so bad and unsalvageable that we would even kill the very Messiah sent to save us. But Satan underestimated God's love. That's why Scripture says that the law was given so that sin would abound, so that God would then be able to grant mercy to many. You see, God knew that by Satan continuing to fill the earth with sin, it would expand the need for love and mercy, which would then also magnify the magnitude of God's mercy and love, all the way up to the sacrifice of the Messiah, which in Satan's mind was the ultimate infraction, but in God's mind was not only the solution to the infraction, but the thing that filled the cup to the brim. It is the ultimate crime. There is no greater sin that could be committed by mankind than the crucifixion of the literal Son of God. No greater infraction could be committed by humanity. But because God desires mercy over sacrifice, the magnitude of the crime expresses the magnitude of his mercy and his love, which simultaneously becomes the thing that breaks through the hardness of our hearts, cuts us to the core, causes us to take a step back and go, if he would do that for me, then how could I possibly reject him? How could I possibly reject such a profound act on my behalf, such a profound act of love, while simultaneously bringing the height of condemnation upon the one who incited such a crime? It's funny, Scripture says that the rulers and principalities were put to shame by the grave. The concept there is that Jesus used Satan's own power against him. He used death to open the door to life for the condemned. Because by sacrificing himself as an innocent person, he purchased the debt of sin of all mankind, giving him the right to adjudicate each human being as he so chooses. And nobody can make a legal claim against him because he was innocent. And he purchased us with his blood legally. If you think of it like owing a debt to like a kingpin or some type of underlord, right? And you imagine somebody comes in and they buy your debt, okay? They buy your debt from whoever the kingpin is that you owed it to. Well, when they purchase your debt, that means that they get to decide what to do with it. They could forgive your debt, or they could hold you to your debt. They could call the debt and require you to actually come and immediately take everything that you own and give it up so that the debt can be satisfied. And if you don't have anything, they could rightfully enslave you depending on what the laws of the land are. The concept here is that Jesus bought our debt with his own life. And so the amazing thing about it is that in so doing, that is exactly how he stripped Satan and all of the authorities of their power, because their power came from the law. That's what scripture teaches us. It teaches us that death got its sting from sin, and that sin derived its power from the law. But when Jesus became the law by fulfilling it, and then sacrificed himself on the cross by purchasing that debt from the law, it stripped all of the rulers of their ability to accuse. Now what? What does Satan do now? Well, now he roams around just trying to destroy the lives and the effectiveness of those who have been called. I think probably his goal now is to try and fill Sheol up with so many people that at some point maybe it reaches a threshold where God says, I don't want to condemn this many people with the rebels, and so I'm going to have to grant mercy to the rebels to remain just, right? Because he just doesn't want to lose that many people. I really think that's probably what Satan has got to be thinking at this point. He's thinking, okay, I've lost, right? Jesus bought the debt that stripped me of my power to accuse. So I can't go around accusing people anymore and trying to disqualify them, because God has already made it clear that the way he's going to qualify us is by buying us, placing his spirit in us, and then qualifying us through that process. Right? And so it seems like he understands now what the plan is, and that he's lost that game. He's not going to be able to disqualify humanity. So I think now he's just trying to fill up hell with as many bodies as he possibly can, hoping that maybe he can cause enough people to come with him that God's almost forced to hostage negotiate, if you will. Now, obviously, I'm speculating. I don't have any real scripture that I can use to back that thought process up. That's just me kind of looking ahead and going, I wonder what's happening now. But I think we can make a very strong case that the reason that he had the Romans crucify Jesus, knowing full well who he was because he was thinking that that would be the ultimate disqualification, and didn't realize that by doing that, he actually ended up stripping himself of his own power. And it's all because he underestimated the strength of God's love. And I think probably because he didn't have any capacity to even understand the concept of love. He could only look at the world through the lens of law. And if that's the only view that you have, then you can't even conceptualize the kind of mercy that it would take to forgive the human race for crucifying your own son.